How many times have you sabotaged yourself, and didn't even realize it? How many opportunities did you miss? Just because you needed to be right. How many relationships were destroyed by your inability to say, "I'm sorry"? The truth is harsh. The greatest enemy you face lives inside your own head. It has your face, your voice, and it knows exactly how to destroy you. But what if I told you that you can silence that voice? That there are real ways to disarm this invisible saboteur. Today, you'll discover 3 powerful techniques to dismantle the ego before it destroys your life. But first, you need to look in the mirror and have the courage to face what's been holding you back. Its name is ego, but you call it me. You believe it is you, because that's what you were taught since the beginning. Since childhood, you were trained to seek approval, to compare, to compete, to win, to stand out, to please. And in the middle of this silent war for love, for respect, for belonging, you built an invisible armor, a mask, a character. And you started living through it. This character wants control. It needs to appear strong, even when it's weak. Needs to look right, even when it's lost. It would rather lie than appear vulnerable. And the worst part, it doesn't want your freedom. It wants to keep you safe. Trapped, small, because it thrives in your inner chaos. The ego tells you, don't apologize, or they'll walk all over you. Don't show weakness, or they'll reject you. Don't forgive, or they'll use you. But what it's really saying is, trust me, I am you. Listen to me, or you'll be lost. But that voice, it's not you. It's the enemy, wearing your face. It convinces you to run from discomfort. Convinces you that procrastination is harmless. Makes you sabotage relationships out of pride. Makes you give up on dreams out of fear of looking ridiculous. Makes you attack when all you wanted was to be seen. It turns every mistake into shame, every criticism into an insult, every challenge into a threat. Because to the ego, everything is about survival, even if that means dragging you down with it. It's the one making you stagnate. It's the one stopping you from asking for help. It's the one whispering day after day that you don't need to change, that the problem is always someone else. But there is one thing the ego fears more than anything: awareness, light. The moment you begin to see clearly what it is and realize you don't need it to exist anymore. And that's when everything changes. Because when you truly see the enemy, it loses its power. In the next few minutes, you'll learn 3 real techniques to break the cycle. 3 ways to dismantle this psychological prison. But first, take a deep breath, because what comes next is the beginning of the end of the illusion. You may not realize it, but the price of keeping the ego alive, is your own life. With every choice you make based on pride, you drift further from who you could have become. With every silence filled with rage, every excuse disguised as a justification, the ego wins one more time. Have you ever stopped to think how much time you've wasted pretending to be someone? How many decisions you made just to prove a point? And in the end, you couldn't even remember what you were defending. How many times you chose to appear strong instead of being real? How many times you swallowed a no, just so the ego could be accepted, approved, applauded? The ego doesn't want you to be happy. It wants you to look good. It doesn't seek peace. It seeks control. And in the process of pleasing others, of winning useless arguments, of keeping up appearances, of avoiding vulnerability, you slowly start dying on the inside, quietly, silently. You start drifting away from friends, from family, from your mission. You grow cold, rigid, reactive, isolated. You start living a role until you forget you're acting. The ego turns life into a war, where everything is a contest, everything's a threat, everything needs defense. There's no real love because you're always suspicious. There's no true joy because something's always missing. There's no growth because every piece of feedback feels like an attack. As long as the ego's in control, you'll be its prisoner, even if on the outside everything seems perfect. Success, status, followers, performance. None of that fills the void the ego leaves behind. You know why? Because the ego doesn't crave truth, it craves applause. And applause doesn't heal the soul. The greatest cost of feeding the ego is that it'll give you everything except what truly matters. But if you're still listening up to this point, it means something inside you is waking up. A calling, a courage, a desire to go beyond the mask. And that's where the turning point begins. Now that you know the enemy and understand the price of keeping it alive, it's time to fight back. In the next few minutes, I'm going to show you the first technique to silence the ego. A simple, brutal, and powerful tool to put you back in control. Technique 1. The silence that reveals the ego feeds on noise, on speed, on reaction. It needs you to respond without thinking, to get offended, to attack, to defend. It needs you to feel threatened, even when no one has attacked you. That's why the most lethal weapon against the ego is silence. Yes, silence, but not that empty, awkward silence. It's conscious silence. The pause that creates space, the gap between stimulus and your response. Because it's in that space that the ego begins to lose power and you begin to show up. Next time something irritates you, don't respond. Stop. Breathe. Watch the thought rise. Watch the impulse build like fire in your chest. And just observe. Don't move. Don't explain. Don't react. You'll hear the ego screaming. You're really gonna let that slide? You're gonna let them talk to you like that? You're gonna look weak. But in that moment, you need to understand that scream isn't strength. It's desperation. The ego screams when it's afraid of losing control, afraid of disappearing, afraid of you waking up. And in that silence, you start to see clearly how many decisions you've made on autopilot, how many words you said just to appear strong, how many lies you told to protect the image. Silence reveals you. It strips the makeup off the character and puts you face to face with what's really inside. Is it uncomfortable? Yes. It will feel strange, but that discomfort is the pain of the ego dying. Practice. Every day, small situations, tiny triggers. Use silence as a sword, as a shield, as a mirror. And you'll realize the more you silence yourself, the more awake you become, and the more the ego fades. This is the first technique. And on its own, it can already change the way you live. But there are still 2 more. 2 that will cut the ego at the root. If you have the courage, keep going. Because the next one won't ask for silence. It will ask for courage. Technique 2. Intentional humility. If silence weakens the ego, humility crushes it. Not fake humility. Not the "I'm a nice person" mask. I'm talking about intentional humility, the kind the ego despises, the kind that feels like betrayal. You know why? Because the ego lives off appearances. It feeds on image, approval, and prestige. It wants to be admired, feared, praised. So what happens when you force it to bow down? When you make it do what it hates the most? Apologize. Admit it was wrong. Listen without interrupting. Learn from someone it considers beneath you. It squirms, it screams, it wants to run. But at that exact moment, you win. Practice humility as a form of real power, as a conscious decision to grow. Do it on purpose. Say sorry even when your pride wants to shut your mouth. Compliment someone your ego wants to ignore. Admit a mistake in front of others. Accept advice without arguing. Look into the eyes of someone you once judged and realize you're no better. It will hurt, It will feel like you're lowering yourself, but it's a lie. You're not shrinking, you're breaking free. Because real power is not looking strong. It's not needing to. Intentional humility is not submission, it's sovereignty. It's the courage to drop the shield and show that you don't need to win to be at peace. And the more you practice, the lighter you become. Because carrying the ego is exhausting. It's heavy, it's demanding, it's draining, but humility sets you free. Humility. This is the second technique, and it requires more than intelligence. It requires greatness, but there's still one more. The third, the most dangerous of all, because it won't ask you to observe or to bow. It will ask you to let go. Technique 3. Total surrender, surrender. After silence, ... after humility, comes what the ego fears the most, surrender. Because now, we're no longer talking about mastering the ego or controlling it. We're talking about letting it go, releasing everything you believed you were, everything you defended, everything you built, just to look like someone. Surrender is not weakness. It is supreme courage. It is looking inward and saying, I don't know who I am without this, but I'm willing to find out. You are not your reputation, not your name, not your appearance, not your aggressive voice, nor your proud silence. You are not your story, not even the traumas that shaped you. You are what remains. When all of that falls away, total surrender is the moment you stop fighting and start existing. It's the moment you no longer need to win the argument, no longer need to be right, no longer need to impress anyone or hold up the character. You simply breathe and choose to be. The ego will resist. It will scream that you're losing. It will say you're disappearing. But what's really disappearing is the prison. You were never the character you created. You are the one who's been trapped behind the mask, waiting for silence, for humility. And now, for liberation, surrender. Let the old self die, and watch what is born in its place. You survived the ego, but now you need to learn how to live. Without it, the character you built was useful. It protected you when you were fragile. It fought for you when no one else would. But now, it's no longer necessary. Because you've grown. Because you've awakened. Because you're tired of being a prisoner. Of your own mind, today, you met the enemy. Felt the weight of the chains, but also saw the key. And now, the choice is yours. To go back to the comfortable mask, or move forward, naked, free, and real. Most will watch this video and forget in 10 minutes. Because the ego is fast. It sneaks back in. It erases what frees. But some will rise different, will close their eyes tonight and feel something inside break, and they'll sleep in silence. If you're one of them, then remember this: you don't need to win anything else. You just need to come home, kill the ego, or it kills your dreams. If this message touched something inside you, share it with someone still living in prison. Leave a comment. I choose to awaken. And if you want to continue this journey, there's so much more waiting for you here.